And a 10 glam rock wardrobe swap. This is something I didn't notice until I went into the comments of the first Security Breach trailer. In summer of 2020, Funko leaked the designs of the action figures for Security Breach, thus leaking the designs of the animatronics. People were pissed about this, obviously, since Scott had specifically told Funko not to release anything. At least we figure, because, you know, he's Scott. I don't know if he made a post about it or something like that. Why does Funko leak literally everything? Everything possible, they leak. They're like Walmart. Anyway, the design of the characters from the gameplay trailer are actually different to those of the action figures released. This is most notable on Roxanne's clothes, where Scott moved the black star shapes, and on Monty's guitar, where he removed or made the black stripes smaller. Chica's guitar is also a lighter blue and mostly white, as opposed to the white and a darker blue of the original action figure. And the animatronics in the trailer are properly proportioned. The action figure heads are weird, okay? They creep me out. At least if these weren't preliminary designs. And at 10 lives. I think the one thing that would have changed everything is if FNAF had a life system. Sure, you can go back and you can try the night again after you fail night 5, thanks to the continue button, but I think lives would have made the game much worse rather than better. Part of the appeal of the game is that you have one shot, and while yes, it saves what night you're on, you still need to restart everything, and I think lives would take away from that, even though it's basically the same thing, unless the lives would get you to continue the night that you were literally currently playing. Like if you got jump scared at 5 AM, you'd still be at 5 AM, which would kind of break the game. Especially if you use the glitch where you can continue a jump scare for a long time while still continuing the night. With the system it has, lives are kind of redundant, but we know that that was planned thanks to gameplay that was left on Scott's YouTube channel from the development days of the first FNAF game. I can't believe this game has gone from a last-ditch attempt to being featured next to God of War and Call of Duty. That's insane. And at 8, Mangle Vent. FNAF VR introduced the vent repair minigames featuring Mangle and entered in some of the scariest experiences I've been through. I've played through the Mangle vent repair from now on this channel, and it is quite a terrifying experience. Now, despite my idiocy in that video, dealing with 3 vents was fairly simple, since they open one by one. However, it was actually planned to have another vent at the top of the elevator. Every time you see that opening, you think, oh man, is Mangle gonna pop out there? But the thing is, it could have. Mangle was planned to have a 4th entry point this whole time. Can you imagine how rude of an awakening that would have been if nobody had noticed it? And how incredibly, utterly terrifying it would have been if that was implemented. Mangle would have had the high ground, and I would be screaming, I hate you. I am 100% certain that would have caused a lot more deaths. I know that I would have died if Mangle could have come in from the top. Imagine if it was behind you though, and like you'd have to like spin around 360. Oh my god, or all 5. Especially in Blacklight mode. And at 7, a Mobile Freddy. The original FNAF that Scott had in mind is not at all like the one we know today. Well, it is in the sense that it is what he wanted to make, but so many ideas and mechanics were added and changed that while we know FNAF is a point and click that gets progressively harder, adding more animatronics later on in a playthrough, that wasn't what Scott had planned at the beginning. In a statement that was most likely released on Reddit, Scott revealed that he had originally planned to make Freddy only jump scare you if you ran out of power, and that he never wanted him to leave the main stage. Eventually this changed, and we'll never really know why. Perhaps it was because the game was too easy, or he wanted to see how things would work with 2 animatronics in the same hallway, or perhaps he had Freddy moving around but got jump scared randomly and kept it, or he just wanted to torture us like the sadistic fool we all know him to be. Why do you do this to me, Scott? Why? I'm just kidding, please notice me, Sky Daddy Scott. Please. Imagine if he didn't move and we were just waiting the whole time for him to move. And at 6, Blacklight mode. You may have seen the Blacklight animatronics if you pay attention to the FNAF merch. They released Blacklight plushies and pop figures a while ago without any real explanation. Well, as it turns out, these alternate colored animatronics are actually for Help Wanted's Blacklight mode, or hard mode, whatever you want to call it. You don't actually get to see them unless you boundary break, since the animatronics are hidden behind curtains that don't open in Blacklight mode, but they are still there. This is closer to the top because they weren't, like, totally, like, changed, but you can't really like interact with them or whatever, even when like close up. And they're even in the Blacklight repair modes, but you can't really see them because it's all so goddamn dark. Chica's Blacklight mode, Bonnie's Blacklight mode, they're all the Blacklight colored animatronics, but you can't actually tell, so yeah. I still kind of wish I got those pop figures. I still want like a glitching glitch trap, and I want like an actual glitch trap, and I should have gotten the pop figures when they came out. They're worth so much now. Halfway through, in at number 5, the box. The infamous box was first released with the ending of FNAF 4, saying some things are best left forgotten for now, but we never knew what was in the box. However, the community seems to think that the contents of the box have changed. Originally, it's believed to be dream theory, since originally Scott said the community may not accept it that way. However, recently there are multiple theories, like that it contains the body of Crying Child, similarly to how Charlotte was found in the 4th Closet novel. But it's also been rumored to be revealed in the new Security Breach teaser game, like the side-scrolling beat-em-up brawler one. Yeah, I can't find any source that confirms this, however, so if anyone has any links about that, please send them to me on Instagram. Don't put them in the comments, because YouTube will probably automatically delete those. And at 4, cameras. The beta for FNAF was full of unused or cut features. Some of these things were interesting, like the original camera map. Well, now we see boxes that indicate the rooms that the cameras were located, and lines leading to other rooms, which are hallways and stuff like that. Originally, we saw the entire layout at once, and we could actually see the directions the cameras were facing, showing us what we'd really be looking at. I can see how this would be useful, but since the gameplay is more of a slideshow-esque format, instead of the animatronics free roaming, like how they do in FNAF VR, we don't really need all that information. And the design we know and love today really keeps it simple and is really all we need. They'll end up in one position on a camera or they'll be in another, and knowing the direction doesn't really matter if that's the case. It would have been interesting for sure and may have changed the game, but it's unnecessary unless the characters walked around all willy-nilly, like I said, like they do in FNAF VR. I mean, they don't walk around willy-nilly, but you can see them walking this time. Maybe then it would be useful, but like, I don't know. And at 3, rogue mechanics. If you're an avid fan of the channel or the Ultimate Custom Night, you may already know this detail, but in fact the mechanics for a few of the characters changed after just one day. Nightmare Freddy, Phone Guy, and Foxy were all implemented on April 1st with their behaviors based on wrong theories, basically disproving them at that moment and torturing us and William with them. Phone Guy couldn't talk while Springtrap was on the move, because he can't be in 2 places at once. Nightmare Freddy would wake you up from a nightmare for a bit before pulling you back to sleep and back into the game, and Foxy would come help you out by blocking a doorway. Neat ways of disproving theories, but really, Scott, you had to go with the whole Foxy is a good guy theory, and that's the one that you wanted to disprove, not something like really impactful. That's kind of a troll if you ask me. The next day though, the mechanics were switched to what they are today. So yeah, I don't know if you can still access them or not. Maybe if you change your date and your computer to the day that they were that, I don't know. I doubt it. It was an update, so. And ultimately in at number 2, co-op mode. Believe it or not, FNAF is actually going to include a co-op mode, well, at least in Help Wanted. In the game files, there is a folder called Multiplayer that has several files stored within it. These files are named like Character Info Table, MP Game Mode, and so on, suggesting that there was a multiplayer mode actually planned for release. But it's now unclear whether it will be entirely scrapped, saved for a future update, or implemented into Security Breach, because, you know, Fanny has all your friends. Maybe some more of them other than Gregory escaped. What would a multiplayer mode look like? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Would you play it? Let me know below. My theory is that the multiplayer mode may have been used for the trailer of FNAF VR, since you can see the hands and the head of the person playing, but maybe it's something more. Maybe they were testing stuff out for Security Breach. Why wouldn't they remove those files from the game? And like, why would they call it multiplayer if it was just for a trailer though? You see why I'm confused? However, if you want to play multiplayer FNAF, you can by using custom VR chat maps. I don't know how to work custom VR chat maps, but like maybe I can figure it out and do like a group meetup thing, like on my channel or something. Like maybe I could make a map, like live stream on like my Twitch or something, I don't know. It sounds complicated, plus you don't need a VR headset to actually play VR chat. There is a flat mode version, and like the entire game is free. It's the same thing, you just download VR chat, you don't have to have a headset for it. So like you can do this with your friends, literally right now. Like go open Steam, download VR chat, figure out how to work custom maps, and you're good. You can go play FNAF in multiplayer. Finally, in at number 1, the end. The FNAF story we know and love, but also rage out on a daily basis. Wait. That's just me and MatPat? Sorry to assume. Well, the complicated story that makes me cry myself to sleep actually could have been a lot simpler and to the point. 3 games, 1 story, that's right. In case you missed it in previous lists, the FNAF story was only meant to be 3 games long, with William dying in the FNAF 3 fire. However, the community thought that the Springtrap jump scare was disappointing, so Scott overcorrected in FNAF 4 with the Nightmare animatronics. But then we got more confused, so he continued. The story could have been 3 games long. Maybe even no book, no movie, no Fazbear Frights. Yeah, that's insane. It's incredibly nuts to think that this 9-game long story could have been just a third of that length. No AR game, no VR game. Goddamn, that just makes me rethink my whole life. Like, is this really what the channel should be covering? I could be talking about Skyrim right now. I love Skyrim. It's my favorite game. Why don't I do that? No one would click it, that's for damn sure. And it ate Faceless Bonnie. In the first FNAF trailer, we were shown a couple of things that were never included in the first FNAF game, but one of those being Bonnie's jump scare changed. Well, at least from what we can tell. In the trailer, we see Bonnie's face close up and he ends up revealing his endoskeleton face to us by literally taking off his face. Now, while this is incredibly intimidating, this was never added to the final game. This could have been for the sake of symmetry with Chica, or it could be for lore reasons. We were told by Phone Guy in the first game that the animatronics see us as a naked endoskeleton, and that's why they're attacking us, because it's against the rules and they're gonna put us in a suit to help us. But if that was truly the case, they would have also been going after the naked endoskeleton visible in the supply closet. Like Bonnie will stand right next to it, for God's sakes. It's presumed later on that they're attacking us because we look like our father, William Afton, who the spirits that possess these animatronics have a vendetta against. But it's still weird that he had the animation and never used it for anything else, and saved the Faceless Bonnie for Withered Bonnie in FNAF 2. Maybe it was too scary for Scott, since we know he has nightmares about Bonnie. Or did. Number 6, Running Bonnie. We all know Foxy for Swiggity Swooty coming for that booty, but in the original trailer for FNAF, we saw Bonnie running down the hall instead. This could have been done in an attempt to keep Foxy a secret if a running animation got leaked or something, but Scott was doing this alone, so he'd be the only one to do that. Nobody would have hacked a 4 times failed game designer, and his kids wouldn't have let it leak, which would have definitely made the game more intense. Could you imagine having to deal with a sprinting Bonnie? Foxy you can keep in check by looking at him every so often, but Bonnie is a main antagonist who will come after you constantly, and having him run would have changed the game entirely. Maybe if he ran I would be more scared of Bonnie, but then of course we wouldn't have Foxy, and the game would be even more different. And maybe Corn Maze wouldn't exist, and I wouldn't have loaded it by accident and nearly myself. Maybe this should have stayed a thing. I wouldn't have had to deal with Chica and pizza pasties, that's for damn sure. Halfway through number 5, Metallic Baby. Do you know what pop figures are? Well, if this model wasn't made to be a pop figure, I don't know what was. Unless it's just the lighting. In the game files for Sister Location, there is an unused image of the baby animatronic completely red and missing her pigtails. This could be a baby in development image. Wait, wouldn't that just be an ultrasound? Thank you for laughing at that. Unless it was just added in post. I mean, it was. I'm the one who's editing this. Man, this just got real meta. I mean, I heard the laughter too, but that's probably just the voices. This image looks like it was meant to be an inspiration for a completely red metallic baby pop figure, but I don't even know if there are even any baby pop figures. I know there were some for the Blacklight animatronic pop figures, but I didn't realize they're actually from Help Wanted. I might need to get some of those now, unless they're vaulted, which will mean I'll need to pay like $60 a pop. Pun intended. This image could also just be a teaser image or test, or maybe a secret loading screen that was never implemented, or it could just straight up be the lighting, but the image isn't used anywhere in game, so there you go. It's fun to hypothesize, right? It's just a hypothesis. A game hypothesis! Thanks for watching. And at 3, Withered Foxy. For some reason in FNAF Help Wanted, they were planning on adding even more animatronics. FNAF 2 may be one of the more difficult game modes to cover in Help Wanted, since there are so many animatronics to keep track of. However, they were actually plans on making things worse. Usually in these versions, Night 5 is in a sort of Blacklight mode or hard mode where things get hella freaky. But for FNAF 2, they added an additional 6th night that you need to play if you want to unlock the Pizza Party minigame and that ending. The night is called Withered, and it's basically a showcase for the Withered animatronics. The Faceless Bonnie, Withered Chica, all of them. However, hidden within the game files is a model of a Withered Foxy. Now, I don't know if Withered Foxy was in FNAF 2. Hell, normal Foxy looks pretty withered. But there were definitely plans on adding this character to the game, since there is also files of Withered Foxy with a picture of a page from the Freddy files as a texture, presumably to find missing areas or something like that. This page, however, is the page showing you the direction that the Withered animatronics take to get to the main security office. The specifications aren't really there, and we don't know why this was abandoned, but perhaps he will make a return in another game down the line. Maybe Security Breach will have a Withered Foxy now. And at 10, Balloon Boy. FNAF has taken some flack for inconsistencies in the games in the past, and while some can be attributed to the story just being convoluted and, you know, variations in character depiction, or, you know, simply maybe a trick of the light sometimes when it comes to that kind of detail, not all can be reasonably explained or have a case made for them for being intentional, because you know what? The goddamn spring trap makes no sense, okay? Spring, then scrap, then burn, what's going on? The inconsistency of Balloon Boy's colored buttons, however, it's one mistake that many fans think was not intentional, but simply something that was overlooked and not really considered. Balloon Boy's buttons originally appear white when he first appears in FNAF 2, but later on appear to change to black every time when you shine the flashlight on him. This has led fans to theorize that there are actually two Balloon Boys simply because of the color of his buttons. What do you think? Was it a mistake, or are there actually two Balloon Boys? It was a mistake, okay? It's a mistake. In at 9, where's Chica's cupcake? Well, Chica has become known for her cupcake, which she's often pictured with, because, you know, it's Chica and her cupcake. Baby loves her cake. This has left many fans of the franchise wondering where it was in the first game. In that game, Chica is still wearing her Let's Eat bib, but without any actual cupcake to come along with her. Probably because FNAF blew up in a way that Scott wasn't expecting, so of course there's going to be inconsistencies when he has to change things up because he made the next game in 87 days. Especially because it's just a prop. And because so much of the story is not surrounding the events of the actual cupcake itself, I think it's kind of okay, because it's just a goddamn cupcake. But again, people they think crazy things. A lot of people are looking for more of an explanation than just it hadn't been designed yet. But oh well. Maybe this version of Chica just simply didn't have a cupcake like we seemingly see with the glam rock version of the character, okay? It's entirely possible. However, there does seem to be a monument to the cupcake outside of her green room, so I mean, she's not using it, so maybe that's what's happening in this one, okay? We don't see the entire pizzeria. Maybe it's just chilling out in the kitchen. You never know. In at 8, FNAF High School. Okay, so sadly, I don't actually think it's sadly. I think it's probably a blessing. I wasn't able to actually track down the cartoon to watch, but apparently there's an animated series based off of the actual like animatronic characters from FNAF. Like what? I don't know if this actually does exist, or if it's just the joke, but either way it looks ridiculous. The show is supposed to imagine what the lives of the animatronics would be if they were human and in high school. Don't know why. The description reads, quote, Golden has no control over his life, Fox has made mistakes, Chica has no friends, Bonnie is constantly bullied, and Freddy has a secret. What? Someone tried to turn the world of FNAF into a high school drama series? I'm sorry, but you can never beat winging it. Why? Why does everything have to be turned into a high school drama? And although I was unable to locate the actual animated series, maybe this is supposed to be referencing the Ultimate Custom Night animatronic teenage, like the high school thing, because like Chica's high school thing, you know, the high school years of Chica, maybe that's what this is referencing. I don't know. The whole idea just seems to be a huge mistake, and it changed how I looked at the series. Just please don't let this be real. In at 7, Night 8. A weird glitch in the game actually allows you to play through an 8th night in FNAF 2, and possibly also in the original FNAF game as well, although I'm not trying it. Apparently, when you scroll through the starting menu following the completion of the game can actually glitch and allow you to play an 8th night out of the 5 nights. Now, I was surprised when I first discovered this. I was surprised when I first discovered that there was more than 5 nights. I mean, the game is literally called Five Nights at Freddy's, and apparently there's more than 5 nights. But I don't know if this 8th night is actually a glitch or if it's intentional. I feel like it's a glitch because the 7th night is always the custom night, right? But yeah, even in the original FNAF game, you can actually play the 5 nights, then continue on to the 6th night, and then you get the custom 7th night, where you can change the difficulty of the animatronics. But like, apparently you can glitch out FNAF 2 and get Night 8. I don't know, okay? Though whether or not this was a mistake or like intentional remains a mystery, but most people believe that it's just a glitch. And you know what? It changes everything. At 6, fan art. After promotional artwork for FNAF 7 was released on social media, it was almost immediately taken back down. Fortunately, fans still got to see the artwork released because it made its way onto Reddit, because, you know, it's always on Reddit. But why was it taken down? Scott didn't realize that he wasn't really the person who created it. He didn't just use his own artwork and models, okay, when he was actually like constructing this, but he accidentally mixed fan models and fan art into the actual cover as well. And because of this, he immediately took it down, not wanting to use someone else's work. And understandably, he was upset about it. But like, again, how did this happen? Like, you're literally the creator of the series. How do you mess up and not use an original thing? Apparently, it was because the models that his team found were so close to the originals of the characters that they actually thought that it was Scott's. Following this mistake, Scott himself actually commended those who made the fan art because they did such an amazing job that it was mistaken for his own. But yeah, he even admitted that some of the fan-made models were better than his. And although we've seen some other moments that showcase this, Scott's reaction continues to highlight just how much he cares and respects the fan base of FNAF and its community and just how good you are at making fan art. Okay, that's all we're gonna say on the subject because I could already hear the comments. I'm sorry, we're working on it. Halfway through in at number 5, continuity. For many, a lot of the story that is explored and hinted at in the games has become somewhat hard to follow or hard to understand. Understandably so. More filled with theories than having anything actually confirmed. So yeah, the whole story is just theories, really. And while many have praised the games for this kind of story that begins to unravel the more you play, involving murder and family drama, there has also been some continuity errors within the lore. The only thing that can be said about retcons being introduced in regards to the storytelling is that at least Scott recognizes that not everything can be perfect, but has reassured the community that he only made one retcon, at least at the time of that Reddit post. Since then, I'm sure he's made more, okay? And just because he doesn't say it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, okay? We had a whole list of the top 10 FNAF retcons. Alright, go watch that one, because it's true. There's more than one, I'm telling you. In at 4, the end of FNAF. Did you know that FNAF almost ended? Well, if you've watched this channel enough, you should know that. So if you don't, be sure you hit subscribe and turn notifications on. Anyway, the original ending of FNAF, according to Scott himself during an interview with Daco, was an ending that we all originally thought. Yes, FNAF 3 was supposed to be the end of the series, despite Scott leaving Springtrap in the background of the final newspaper image, because of course he would. That's why we released the spirits of the missing children. That's why the place burns down. That's why it feels like the end, because it was supposed to be. But why did we get another 6 games after? Well, simple, because the Springtrap jump scare wasn't scary enough. That's right, Springtrap's jump scare was so mild that it was basically ketchup, and it caused fans to get upset, especially for what felt like the end of the series. So Scott came back, and he came back hard, making FNAF 4 and the Nightmare animatronics, and then he just kept it going from there. So yes, Springtrap's jump scare was a mistake, because without it, I might actually be able to get some sleep at night without thinking about what animatronics may be under my bed. Hopefully, it's Chica. Hey, mommy!